Guys, let me explain to you now why when I see things like a crazed gunman running around swinging a gun, particularly an artificial one to be honest, and then soon after I see a random stabbing where somebody just appears to just have randomly walked up to a person and stabbed them. Let me remind you of this story. Now, when I was on the Melbourne Drug Court, which is in effect, it should be an excellent order, bar for the rotten culture that exists and turned it into literally a weaponized sex offending grooming camp. Literally, it was the most degrading, literally weaponized sex offences through the misuse of surveillance equipment. So I won't get into that. There's plenty of my posts that cover that. So for now, in that, under the watchful eye of Magistrate Pappas, I was exposed to what was happening to me. Now, I became a little bit of an expert at this because I'd had to put up with this both inside and outside of prison for a near decade. So what happened, and this is what makes what happened with Magistrate Pappas so appalling, because I actually used to look at her thinking, you're the one. You guys went for so long, the Victorian system went for so long, harassing me and falling into thinking what they were doing was half acceptable through abuses of surveillance equipment and whatnot, thinking what they were doing because they were the law was remotely acceptable, using women the way they were, and in effect falling into me telling them to go and F themselves down the line of their harassment as some excuse for them to just do whatever they like. Anyway, so I used to look at Magistrate Pappas and think it could have been Parsons, it could have been Fitzgerald, it could have been here, it could have been Selesky in the prisons, but you wanted Magistrate Pappas, were the one that wanted to be, yeah, I'll show me this guy. I've got a brother, you know, like that, and it ended up being her that wears it. So it's really up to her to expose it. Anyhow, so then what happened, during my time on the Melbourne Drug Court order, I was exposed to the weaponized misuse of AI bot technology, but they also use it as a tactic. So what they do is they basically, to try and demonstrate that there's a bad side to drugs, it's completely illegal, entirely degrading, and resource, it's just ridiculous. It's just disgusting to think that our government departments, like through the expert advice of Odyssey House, through like our experts even came up with this as a solution, as this is what we need to do. If that is the truth, if the other side of the coin, which is a lot worse, basically it's just paybacks and pettiness and yuck. So if there is genuine like reason behind what they were doing, anyway, what I caught them out doing, because I was an expert at it, because I'd had this technology used to try to do my head in, again, both inside and outside of prison, because I dared question them. I was in an IBAC investigation. I was asked to be a witness against a prison officer, against one of their own. So I had my head done in by a torturous little bot way back in, 2016, 17, thereabouts, in Fulham, just after being dragged into, off camera and spoken to by, not Munnings, Money. I think his name's not Brendan Munnings, Money, out at Sale. He pulled me off camera. And, right about that time was when I first started noticing the introduction of the weaponized misuse of AI bot tech. Anyway, so when I'm on the Melbourne Drug Court order with Magistrate Pappas, what I'm dealing with, they can combine AI chatbot technology with facial recognition. So, and what they would do is they would even go as far as, okay, I live here, so I frequent this shopping centre. So they would go and speak to, for example, the Coles or whatnot, and pretend that they had me under investigation and commandeer their cameras, like literally to continue the attack on your mental health, basically. So there's no escape, because if there is escape, this is how damaged they were. No matter how much I told them I'm aware what they're doing, they still wanted to continue thinking like, oh gee, if we stop, then, you know. Anyway, so what that led me being exposed to was things like the CBD CCTV cameras being used to combine facial recognition technology and AI chatbot technology, so that they could in effect literally 1984 you. So you would walk in, but they don't do it like, Caliph, we see you are in the CBD, Caliph, They do it disgustingly, like basically having a go at you, or, oh, it's degrading as, like, it is the most disgusting thing you've ever experienced. Anyhow, so basically they just get in your head, and it's done with the unrelenting attack that only a bot could do, AI bot technology could do. And it learns your behaviours. You know those squares you see, the facial recognition and how it can pick up? Well, they can do that with your face, with your eyes, body shape. They've got all that tech without one question of doubt. But what they needed to do, because just having the ability to see who it is, for example, that's not enough. They want to be able to do people's heads in, which is exactly the type of thing that led to the Bourke Street Mall, don't forget. So 7 years prior to the time I'm talking about here, this type of attack on a low-level petty criminal meth head's mental health led to the Bourke Street Mall. So innocent people dying. Don't forget that in this. So here's Magistrate Pappas, well aware of this AI bot technology. I can distinctly remember when I was sort of annoying. You can FOI this, like you can hear her say, "Get the psych, Bart, get the psych," as if to say, righto, that's the go-ahead to introduce the AI bot technology. Anyway, in this AI bot tech that I'm talking about, this head doer, and combined with phone hacks, which you have to have a mobile phone. If you want to stay on that Melbourne Drug Court, you have to have a phone. So they can hack it and do your head in and mess with you, as well as watch you through the cameras. Now, you would understand the monitoring aspect, but not when what happened was it got turned into, disgustingly, aside the fact that it puts them in breach often of surveillance laws, it turned into literally weaponizing sex offences. So it turned into, like I've said this before, I'll quickly touch on it. It turns into turning up to a drug court appointment and having someone like Bart or Adam, who's meant to be your clinical advisor and all professional, commenting on the sexual positions you were in. Like literally sex offending you. It is disgusting. Anyhow, so in that, what else they do is they antagonize their targets. So basically, they get the phone hack into the computer, into your phone, and you can't, it just aggravates you. Then you combine that with street informants. So what I'm getting at is this one participant, who I won't name, but coincidentally, he also had history with the system, which leads me to think, is this, because I saw bikies and drug dealers on the Melbourne Drug Court order that they didn't do this to, but then there's low-level drug addict with plenty of prior convictions for being violent, who's genuinely trying to turn his life around, but has history for sticking it up the system, who's having it done to him. Now, I'll tell you what happened. I saw this guy, and he was rattled, and I could feel, you can feel it when it's right, you can tell that And he shows me his phone. He's going, I need a gun. Mick, can you get me a gun? I'm going, bro, what's the matter? And we're standing out the front of the Melbourne Drug Court. Oh, someone's getting at me. I'm like, who? He can't tell you who. Of course he can't, because that's the whole point. They need to maintain that level of they need to maintain like plausible deniability. They know what they're doing is entirely illegal. So they don't say it's us, we're doing it, you're on the drug court order, yeah, you're they don't do that. They try and pretend you've got enemies and try and wig you out, basically trying to, their words, show you there's a downside to drug use. I kid you not. So under the watchful eye of Magistrate Pappas and Jenny LaFaro with Odyssey House's disgusting, archaic way of how you got to get off drugs, they came up with this. Now, this guy comes up to me and he is wigging off. He said, I need a gun. People are messing with me. People are messing with me. He can't tell me who. All I know, and I'm trying to explain to him, mate, it is them. You are on the Melbourne Drug Court order. It is the Melbourne Drug Court. They are doing your heads in. Magistrate Pappas is authorising for your head to be done in. No, you know, you couldn't tell him that. No, I know it's not them. Within 1 week of me having that surprise chance meeting, he passed me his phone. There was no way the Melbourne Drug Court team, we were both on the Melbourne Drug Court order. There was no way the Melbourne Drug Court's finest, you know, people sitting up there in the hacky booth could have foreseen. Arguably, they weren't even watching. Arguably, it wasn't even live because they just rely on the AI. So there was no way they could have told or known that this guy was going to hand me his phone, which he did. So I saw straight away, I knew, hang on, they're messing with you, it's them. This is what they do, this is why they do it. There was no telling him by this stage. He was too far paranoid, he was too rattled, like literally worked up to within an inch of his life. Like one step off driving down the Bourke Street Mall, definitely. So I left, I'm worried about myself at this stage. I'm mid-writing book, studying, thinking I just can't wait to get away from these people and do what I'm doing now. Expose it. Anyway, within 1 week of that, within 1 week of me, without one question of doubt, no doubt, knew that Melbourne Drug Court under the watchful eye of Magistrate Pappas and Bart were doing this to this guy, this well-known violent offender, which there's no way he can say, yes, I know they did it. There's just, the only way is if IBAC investigates properly, but they don't. But anyway, so within 1 week of that, this well-known violent offender lashes out violently, stabbing an innocent member of the public and very nearly putting a tomahawk, that's a small axe, over the head of the brave first responders. Now, when I see just random people, particularly like 2 in a week, basically, and we've still got a crazed gunman, Desi Freeman, who was visibly noted. We all saw, we've seen the images of him getting harassed by the Victorian system. He's still on the loose. So we've still got a crazed double cop killing gunman on the loose, technically. Whether he's dead or not, we don't know. And now we've got these people running around the city like, yeah, all riled up. And we know our system has been messing with AI bot technology. Magistrate Pappas's words were to have sport with someone. This is 7 years after the Bourke Street Mall incident cost innocent people their lives, including a baby. Now, if you try and tell me 1 second that we don't need an all-encompassing, very heavily dot-joining Royal Commission in Victoria, you are either in on it, you're either making huge money off one of the government infrastructure programs, or, I don't know, perhaps you're one of the approved drug dealers. I don't know. Anyway, sorry that went a bit longer than I expected. See you guys.